You're coming up? You're not coming up for Into the West? You're not coming up for the beginning part? Yai la 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 yai la 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 yai la 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 yai la 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 ya la 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 yai la 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 Yai la 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 ya la 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 yai la 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 yai la 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 ya la 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 yai la 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 going out yai la 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 yai la Shabbat Shalom. We're going to welcome in Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem, Bochem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchoni, Barchoni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem, Tzedchem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. Cantor, Cohen and I were talking just before. Why aren't the crowds like this every Friday night? They actually are. You just have to come. I'll show you, I promise. It's so wonderful to have you all here on this historic evening for our congregation and for our community. You know, Temple Sholom has a long history of music. One of the first things they told me when I came to the congregation was, Rabbi, this is a congregation that likes to sing, so please don't. No, but no, really, if we go back in our history, Joan Becko, Elizabeth Walchik, Joyce Cherry, who's here, Wendy Stewart. Wendy's here. Where's Wendy?
Right here.
Right? And of course, I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. And of course, Cantor Gutman and Cantor Tausig, who are here this evening. We have a long history of music in our congregation. You know, being a cantor in a synagogue is a very sacred role. I probably missed somebody. If I missed, tell me who I missed. But thank you, Marie Kennedy. And the choir, we can't forget the choir, both the congregational choir and the sisterhood choir. Being a cantor in a synagogue is a sacred responsibility. You know, if we think back to your own growing up, if you grew up in a synagogue, quite often the soundtrack of your Judaism is the voice of that cantor that you grew up with. That's how the melodies have to be sung, right? It's like it came Sinai. It came down from Mount Sinai. That's how you sing Shalom Aleichem. Any other thing? It's new stuff. You can't do that. And so with that sacred and awesome responsibility, of course, comes an incredible and influential power to shape the lives of generations of Jews who will forever think of that Shalom Aleichem or that Oseh Shalom or that particular trope, that nusach, that melody of Torah, because that's how your cantor taught you to sing it or to chant it. And Cantor Cohen this evening will assume that role for a generation of Jews. Your children, your grandchildren will grow up knowing melodies because this is how she interprets them. This is how she takes the sacred tradition and helps us to interpret it and to understand it. And let me tell you, just in the year plus that I have gotten to know this cantor, that she is humble, that she is talented, she is wise and patient. Who's laughing? Not her parents. Okay, just checking. Creative, compassionate, but most of all, our cantor is a good listener. You know, we think about cantors so often, we think about listening to them. But really, I think the key to being a good cantor or a good rabbi or a good parent is being a good listener. And it has been our privilege to be able to be present with you, for you to listen to us, but also, of course, for us to listen to you and to sing along with you. So tonight we celebrate our cantor, but we also celebrate our congregation and this historic achievement that we have to be able to join together in song, to join with our long history of music in our congregation, and to take it to the next step and all the other things that having a full-time cantor allows us to do. As you'll hear tonight, Cantor Cohen's involved with our education program, with our seniors program, with our B'nai Mitzvah program, and of course, services as well. And so I hope that you celebrate tonight just as much as we all do, not just our cantor, but to celebrate our congregation and to celebrate all of those that brought us to this moment, all of the history of music that is part of the soundtrack of our lives, the soundtrack of this community. To welcome Shabbat, we're going to ask Cantor Cohen's parents to come up and join us with the Shabbat candles, as well as her wife, Kylan, and her good friend, Cantor Leanna Mendelson. So if they can join us here at the candles to lead us in the Shabbos blessings.
Do you want to?
So page 121, there's a reading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go Miriam.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Oh. Ugh, I don't want to. You can do it if you don't want to. Oh, hot.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. So to continue our service, it is my honor to call up Cantor Josh Breitzer, one of our guests this evening, this weekend.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor Cohen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Cantor
Shalom,
Breitzer.
Temple Shalom. It's my first time here with you, but it's not my first time here with you. Back in February 2021, I had the occasion to visit you for Shabbat, except I was sitting behind a desk with a Zoom on, and some of you were as well during the fact-finding phase of what it might mean for this community to have their first ordained cantor. And little did we know that Cantor Cohen was already kind of, sort of, maybe considering what it might be like to apply to become cantor in this community at the same time. Now you have to understand, Cantor Cohen was my intern, my cantorial intern at Congregation Beth Elohim in Brooklyn, where I serve as cantor. And she started with us pre-pandemic, and during her time with us, the pandemic began. Now, you have to imagine yourself what it might be like to be a student in a full-time seminary during those years. Imagine, maybe you were a student during those years, I don't know. But you can only imagine what it might be like to have all that additional technology and stressors and tsuris, right? And uncertainty each and every day. It might really, really phase you. It might leave the ground sort of shifting under your feet. At no point at all in any of the time that Cantor Cohen and I got to work together during the worst of the pandemic did I sense that tsuris affecting her at all. But rather, she was a beacon of calm and of stability and assuredness and patience and non-anxious presence, and above all, just such a harbinger of joy. And I know that you know her well enough to know that she continues to be all these things here in real life. And so what a joy it is for me to be here with you in real life to help honor and celebrate her in this historic occasion for her and for your community. And so we begin together in song. We greet Shabbat together with the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat on page 130, beginning with Lechu Neranena.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariah letzor yisheinu. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariah letzor yisheinu. Lechu neranena page 134. Zamru Ladonai. Our voices sound so beautiful together as we raise them in these psalms of praise. Zameru Ladonai mechinor, mechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru Ladonai mechinor, mechinor v'kol zimra. Zamru.
It takes a little work to sing and play drum at the same time. But it takes a little work for all of us each and every day of the week leading up to Shabbat. We're constantly multitasking. We're constantly trying to do all the things that are expected of us. And how often in our lives do we have the opportunity to really concentrate on the thing we're doing at that particular moment? And so in these moments before we formally greet Shabbat with the words of Lecha Dodi on page 138, I wonder if we could just take a moment, Cantor Cohen, if that's all right, to feel what it's like to have our bottom on the seat, to feel perhaps our feet on the floor, or the weight of that one leg crossed over the other. And if there's something about that that feels uncomfortable, maybe try crossing the legs the other way, or try wiggling your toes, or notice your posture, or notice the way you're breathing. And in these last few moments, before we prepare to welcome Shabbat, let's do everything we can to be as present as we can to receive her. On page 138.
verse 9, and face the entrance. Boy,
Shalom,
You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Wow, what a fantastic Kabbalat Shabbat. Thank you so much for that, Cantor Cohen and Cantor Breitzer, and also Joyce Rosenzweig, who's here with us as well from New York. We're so delighted to have you here with our congregation. I've been thinking a little bit about a few words that I wanted to say about Cantor Cohen tonight. And I was actually really glad that I got this slot right after Kabbalat Shabbat, because to me, when I think about all of the different things that Rabbi Dan mentioned that you have brought to our congregation, and there are so many, Kabbalat Shani is, Kabbalat Shani, that's who you are.
I like that.
Kabbalat
We're gonna start
Shabbat.
that. Kabbalat Shani.
It really is this incredible gift that you have brought to our congregation in really bringing what I think is this delicate balance in Judaism. We talk about in prayer that we need to have keva and kavanah. We have kind of the fixed words of the siddur, and you have an incredible knowledge of liturgy and all the different prayers and everything that we do. But the kavanah is that passion. It is that sense of real intention in the prayer that you bring to us, and you've brought through your music, but even more through your neshama, through your soul, that has really just brought so much to this community. And I've seen that, of course, in Kabbalat Shabbat, but also just in the way in which you are a teacher, particularly with our JIC class, and you bring so much heart. And I really want to just highlight your work with our seniors and how much you have grown this Shishim program, our 60-plus program, into something that is at the center of this congregation, and especially in these kind of really strange times that we've lived through since you came in the middle of a pandemic. You have connected people to each other, to this community, and to you in such deep ways. So we're so grateful to celebrate you tonight. And we're going to continue to sing together and to learn a few new tunes as well, which I'm very excited for. So I'll invite everyone, if you would, to turn in page 263 in the siddur as we rise together for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, ובחייכון וביומכון ובחייכו בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך מבורך לעולם ולעולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תוש בחתה ולחם מתן תמירן ועמל ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
May be seated. So we join together on 265 in Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidbaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhma Poteach She'arim Uvidfuna Mishane Itim Umachalif Et Hazmanim Umesader Et HaKochavim Umishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono Borei Yom V'Layla, Golel Or Mipnei Choshech, V'Choshech Mipnei Or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Page 266. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו, ושוכבנו ופרומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, אהבתך, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני. אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continue now with Micha Mocha. We invite Cantor Breitzer to join us on the Bima, page 270.
This may be a new melody, so at some point I'll ask you to repeat after me.
Repeat after you.
Not yet.
Okay.
Tehilot, Oseh, Feleh, Nora, Tehilot, Oseh, Feleh, Malchutecha, Ra'uvanecha, Boker Yam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Adonai, Himlo, Leolam, Vaed, Adonai, Himlo, Leolam, Vaed. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 271.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. The last two lines. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'poreh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. our honor to call up Professor Joyce Rosenzweig.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is truly an honor to be with you this weekend as we celebrate Cantor Cohen's official, that's good. It is truly an honor to be with you this weekend as we celebrate Cantor Cohen's official installation as Cantor of Temple Israel. Israel Shalom, you know, they go together. They go together. Temple. As one of her professors at HUC and musical collaborators, it gives me so much joy to see her thriving and flourishing here and making such an impact on this extraordinary synagogue. During her 5 years as a cantorial student, Cantor Cohen's remarkable talents were consistently acknowledged by the entire faculty and student body, and her brilliant accomplishments, both in the classroom and at each of her services and presentations for our community, were celebrated and emulated. Cantor Cohen's glorious voice and deep sense of artistry have moved me ever since I was part of her HUC admissions committee almost 7 years ago. Cantor Cohen has a way of communicating whatever she sings with authenticity, honesty, insight, joy, and incredible warmth. She truly prays the words on the page, and no matter how complex or how simple the musical style or liturgy may be, she is able to distill the essence of every word and every phrase and communicate directly from her heart. So you'll probably notice that some of the music tonight and tomorrow morning will be different from what you're accustomed to hearing and singing. The three of us decided that with us being together, it could be a great time to experiment with some new melodies and some different liturgical choices, as each of us do in our own synagogues, as we constantly strive to make our services ever more vibrant and meaningful, balancing the well-known with newer expressions, more classical styles with more contemporary settings, alternating the musical textures, and even experimenting with praying the Amidah silently, as we'll do tonight. And as is customary in many synagogues, including Cantor Breitzer's and my own, Congregation Beit Simchat Torah in New York. Try and think of this quiet time as a gift of being alone, but in community. Try to take notice of the words on the page in a new way, or simply use this time to pray the words in your heart that you need tonight. Preceding the Amidah, we will sing Vishamru, found on page 272, the prayer that describes the powerful covenantal relationship between God and the Jewish people, and which is our official announcement of Shabbat. Maurice Goldman's gorgeous setting of Vishamru paints the text with exquisite strokes of color and light, allowing us to experience a brand new understanding of this prayer. So I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit. You can be seated at the end of the Amidah or whenever you feel complete. And the Amidah will be found beginning on page 273, going to 285. But first, the glorious Goldman Vishamru.
Vishameru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד תהי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשר עוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Let me hear you, God.
Let me hear you,
When I
God.
hear my
spirit
soars
soars in prayer.
May I sing from love.
May I sing from
Not
love,
afraid to
waste my sweetness on the world. May I sing from love.
May I sing from
Not afraid
love.
to waste my sweetness. May I sing from love.
May I sing from
Not afraid to
love.
waste my sweetness on the world.
Let me hear you, God.
Let me hear you, God.
When I hear my
spirit
spirit
soars in prayer.
May I sing from love.
May I sing from love,
Unafraid to
waste my sweetness on the world. May I sing from
May I sing
love,
from
not afraid
love.
to waste my sweetness. May I sing from love, showing with my own soul's flight the God who sings through me.
Let me hear you, God.
Let me hear you, God.
When I hear my
spirit soars in prayer.
May I sing from love.
May I sing from
Not
love,
afraid to
waste my sweetness on the world. May I sing from love,
from
not afraid
love.
to waste my sweetness. May I sing from love, showing with my own soul's flight the God who sings through me. In the middle of page 285. Oseh shalom, shalom bibromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
There may be no better example of how a melody can open up the gates of prayer and the pathways of meaning than the melody of Misha Berach that Debbie Friedman set that ancient prayer to. Cantor Cohen is a graduate of the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music, named in her memory. And we are so very aware of how this melody can bring us to a place of comfort and of healing, to help us feel embraced and to help us feel surrounded. Tachat kanfei Shekhinah, the wings of God's presence. On this Shabbat, we ask God's blessing of healing on Anton Grunfeld, Andrew Jason Bruce, Lawrence Down, Claire Columbia, Jack Karp, Dan Badesh, Victor Lewin, Yaniv Kadar, Fran Goldberg, Doreen Irving, Matt Good, Alicia Eckersley, Tsipa Bat Ita, Hannah Bild, Leto and Jay, Alan Pitch, Adele Kirkle, Asher Gavriel Ben Mordechai Yehoshua Vasara Elishev, David Coulter, Apolina Wolshensky, Elena Cobb, Annette Albert, Carla Zavot, Doris Medved, Janet Gelb, Jean Angus, and Jean, we're so glad you're here tonight, Judy Steiner Lossberg, David Shlomo Gorney, Andrea Jarzabek. If there are others in need of this prayer for healing, I invite you to stand and call their names out one by one in the midst of our congregation. We join with our Cantor, page 371, the Misha Berach, a prayer for healing.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Before I invite our temple president, Dan Steiner, to come share a few words, I want to just share a few quick announcements. First, a thank you to our incredible Cantor Cohen Installation Committee and all the work that they have put into tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night, and all the things that were necessary leading up to that. We will thank them by name later on in the weekend, but I just want to acknowledge them now for the incredible work that they've done, all the cooking and the baking that other volunteers have done as well to make this evening sweet in many, many ways. There was a lot going on this weekend, as you well know. Tomorrow morning, there is still Torah study at 8:30 via Zoom. At 10 o'clock tomorrow morning are Shabbat services. Again, a special Shabbat where Cantor Breitzer and Joyce will be joining us, as well as opportunities to learn with them after the service as part of a congregational lunch. So join us, please, for those services. And then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock will be a wonderful concert followed by a reception. The reception's after, right? Yeah, followed by a reception afterwards. So please join us for that. We'll stream these events also, but as you can see and as you can hear, it feels so great to be together and to sing together. The other announcements are on your handout. I won't read them all to you, other than to point out that Rabbi Brown has a class that's beginning on Wednesday evening, a 3-part course on aspirational Zionism. That is only in person. So if you would like to join for that class, I hope that you will. And then next Friday night is another family Shabbat on November 4th at 5:45, beginning with dinner, and then services. There's still an 8 o'clock service, of course, after that. And then lastly, next Saturday, our BBOYO Junior group is going to be going bowling at Lucky 9 Lanes in Richmond. So if you are in grades 4 through 7, or you have children in grades 4 through 7, we hope that you will take part in that. And Yael Schechter is here, I think. Yael, where are you? So stand up a little bit, Yael, just to... If you want to find out more about our grade 4 through 7 program, talk to Yael. It's my pleasure now to invite our temple president, Dan Steiner, to share a few words. Dan, why don't you come right here?
Thank you, everyone, for sharing this historic moment in our synagogue's history. Cantor Cohen is the first full-time ordained cantor to serve Temple Sholom. She follows on the heels of the loving, dedicated, and talented cantorial leadership of Arthur Gutman, who served our congregation as a volunteer chazan for more than 20 years, and who's also our past president, and is still among the leaders of our morning minyan, and frequently assists our Klei Kodesh on life cycle events. Cantor Cohen also picks up the reins from Naomi Tausig, who served Temple Sholom as our soloist for 13 years and also taught in our JIC program and B'nai Mitzvah training. Since 2013, when Rabbi Dan joined our congregation as senior rabbi and Rabbi Brown became our full-time associate rabbi, we've grown from about 600 or so households to almost 950 households. We are the largest synagogue of any denomination west of Toronto. With that exciting growth, it became clear that in order to serve our growing community, the addition of a full-time cantor was a welcome and necessary next chapter in our congregation's story. Cantor Cohen not only leads our music and B'nai Mitzvah program, but her training as an ordained cantor, training that parallels that of our rabbis, allows her to officiate life cycle events such as weddings and funerals. She does pastoral counseling, teaches in our various educational programs, and manages our senior programming. This significant new step for our congregation would not have been possible without the support of our board, our membership, our finance committee, and most particularly our search committee, who in the midst of a global pandemic conducted a thoughtful and thorough search. Thank you to Joyce Cherry and Yoel Robins Paradise, who headed the committee, and to Melina Baum-Singer, Anit Kaziki, John Silver, Marie Henry, and Billy Lockman, all of whom I was honored to join as members of the committee. You may recall that we initially set out to find a one-year interim cantor, unsure if we could sustain this model and how the congregation would respond. It was under that plan that we initially hired Cantor Cohen. But your response and that of our Klei Kodesh soon made it clear that if we were indeed to take that next step of adding to our clergy team, we'd already found the person we were looking for. How fortunate we were that the Cantor's Placement Commission granted us a waiver to make an offer to Cantor Cohen, and even more so blessed that she accepted and that we can welcome Cantor Cohen and her wife, Rabbi Colleen Cohen, to our community. It's also a bonus for Hillel BC as well, where Rabbi Cohen has made a lasting impact on students and programs on campus. Thanks again for joining us. Enjoy the weekend and Shabbat Shalom.
So people have asked me many times, what does it mean to install a cantor? I've made some jokes about how it's not going to hurt and you have to read the instructions first and all those things. But all joking aside, what it means to install a member of the Klei Kodesh, it means to imbue them in a circle of trust, to welcome them into a circle of trust. It has been our privilege and continues to be that you invite us into the most intimate moments of your lives, to sit with you at bedsides, to stand with you beneath the chuppah, to welcome a new baby, to usher out loved ones at the end of life. To be a clergy person, to be a rabbi, a cantor, is a sacred and awesome responsibility, but one that we can't do without a congregation. And so, though it is going to be in a moment myself and Rabbi Brown and Rabbi Bregman and Cantor Gutman and Cantor Tausig, who are going to pass Torah literally and figuratively into the hands of Cantor Cohen, it is really you that make us rabbis and cantors. You install us because you give us that privilege of being with you in those moments and give us the opportunity to be of service. And so at this time, I want to invite my colleagues and friends, Rabbi Bregman, Cantor Emeritus Gutman, Cantor Emeritus Naomi Tausig, to join us on the bima, as well as Rabbi Brown. And though this is going to be a slightly longer moment of standing, I'll ask you to please rise. If you find it difficult, you can certainly sit down. All come stand up.
Here it comes.
Cantor Cohen. Cantor Cohen. The voice of God. We welcome you to this new chapter in our congregation and in the journey of your cantorate. We stand with you before the open ark to offer a blessing of welcome and thanksgiving at this sacred time. We welcome you as you bring your voice to this congregation as our cantor.
When we sing God's praises, we open our hearts to the possibility of spiritual renewal. May your gift of music and spirit help us to sing new songs to God, inspire us to spiritual fulfillment, and help us find new meaning in the prayers and praises of our hearts. Let us welcome you with the words of the psalmist, who taught us to bring passion to our tradition through the music of our hearts. And we're going to invite all of you to share a refrain. It's in your program in a little box on the inside page. This refrain we'll say together, first in Hebrew and then English. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, sing to God a new song.
In every generation, we have been inspired by teachers of Torah, who have challenged us with new songs of learning. Every opportunity for study evokes new revelation. And with this inspiration, the children of Torah become the builders of our future, a future whose story is yet to be told. May your teachings, your songs, and your vision inspire us with the light of Torah, and may you be inspired by the Torah of our community.
Shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, sing to God a new song.
May your song always be guided by our prophets, who, in the words of Micah, said, "Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God." May you inspire others to holiness and mitzvot, contentment and peace. May the song of your spirit be compassionate and fulfilling, bringing wholeness, strength, and healing to those in need.
Shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, sing to God a new song.
May your path always be guided by our sages, who taught, turn the Torah, turn it again and again. For everything you want to know is found within it. May your study always be filled with the sweetness of Torah, and may your passion and your song illuminate its words, so that we may find new meanings within them.
Shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, sing to God a new song. And now, Cantor Cohen, we want to offer you a Misha Berach on this occasion of your installation as our cantor. Misha Berach avotenu ve'imotenu, v'yivarech et hachazan Shani bat Michael u'Miriam, sheyolicha l'shalom, v'yatzida l'shalom, v'yismecha l'shalom, v'yancha el mechov chetza l'chaim u'lesimcha u'leshalom, v'shohorata v'shireha nimseru beruach hakodesh, toch shlichuta limsor mesoret am Yisrael v'ahavat Adonai.
May the one who blessed our ancestors bless you, Cantor Shani Cohen, on this new journey on which you are about to embark. May God help direct your steps and sustain you in peace. May you find joy and contentment. May your teachings and songs be inspired by the Eternal One, and may you continue to be a messenger of the Most Holy and Most High, of the holy traditions of our people, and of God's love.
I accept this charge with awe and humility as I go forth in song and in spirit, with Torah and mitzvot to lead my path, holiness and compassion to guide my steps, and fullness of faith and love to inspire others.
Shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, sing to God a new song.
I want to invite Cantor Breitzer and Joyce to join us in a Yivarechecha, the Birkat HaKochanim, the priestly blessing.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerech.
Ratzon, may God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elayich v'chunech.
Ken yehi ratzon.
God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elayich ve'yaseh melach shalom, shalom.
May God always be with you through all of life's journeys and grant you the greatest blessing of all, that of wholeness and completion, the blessing of shalom, and a world and a congregation filled with peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. אמן.
Amen va'amen. We'll remain standing, continue page 586. No, we won't.
Not yet.
We're going to be seated.
There's an audible.
Before we continue, I thought I'd take a moment to respond to all of the lovely things that have been said so far. And thank you. That was a really, really beautiful moment. As Rabbi Dan said earlier, to be chosen as the cantor of a community is a sacred responsibility, and not one that I take lightly. And I just wanted to give a little bit of background to what I'm thinking and feeling in this moment. It feels as if my whole life has led me to this moment, standing here before you, and I'm so grateful to be here. Just over 7 years ago, I was asked by a rabbi to lead the High Holy Days for the first time at his synagogue, Congregation Shema Kolenu in Houston, Texas. I'd barely led a service, I hadn't really, since my own bat mitzvah, and I could not imagine the path that my life would take after I said yes to that offer. But from the moment that I stepped in front of that congregation, something clicked for me. I didn't know what a cantor was at the time, really, but I was excited at the prospect of a calling that could bring together my Jewish upbringing, my passion for music, and the desire to work with people and make a difference in their lives. In the spring of 2016, I enrolled in the Hebrew Union College's Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. That's a tongue twister. Which was a 5-year program that would help me discover what it actually meant to be a cantor. What I discovered over those 5 years of study, first in Jerusalem and then New York, was so much more than I ever could have imagined. I finally got to meet and work with cantors in the field. I studied historic and contemporary cantorial and Jewish music, and I strengthened my knowledge of Torah, Jewish philosophy, and Jewish traditions. For my cantorial thesis at the end of my studies, I got to explore these questions even further, researching not just cantorial and rabbinic history, but also how Reform cantors and rabbis have worked in partnership in synagogue communities all around the world. All of this brings us to the beginning of 2021, when I was looking for a synagogue, and of course, Temple Sholom was looking for a cantor. I interviewed with many different congregations across North America and tried to get a sense of them through that Zoom screen. As many of you might know, it's hard. So I knew that I had a little bit of a bias to Temple Sholom because I love the Pacific Northwest, from going to my undergraduate, getting my degree in Tacoma. But I was intrigued to see this Vancouver congregation pop up, so I decided to submit my name for the job. And I don't know how to explain this, but from my first meeting with Temple Sholom, with the search committee, I knew that this place was different. there was something, again, that just clicked. And I believe you all felt it too, I hope. Everyone I met with, from congregants to staff, just exuded a positive and warm energy that I could feel even through the screen. And now, after being here for over a year, I'm excited to report that Temple Sholom is all of those things that I thought it was: a welcoming and supportive and warm community, an organization that has an incredible, hardworking staff that keep this place running smoothly throughout all of our events and holidays. And of course, I get to be part of a clergy team that is dedicated and compassionate, trusting and trustworthy, where I know I can be myself as I continue to learn and grow in this role. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who made it possible for me and Kylan to be here: Rabbi Dan and Rabbi Brown, the Temple Board, the Search Committee, Richard Kurland deserves his own shout out, the Temple staff, and all of the congregants who made sure that Kylan and I were housed and fed and made us feel so welcome from the moment we got to Vancouver. Now, I also want to take a quick moment to explain why we brought two of my teachers and mentors here all the way from New York. So as you've seen, this installation marks a new phase of my cantorate. Not just being here at Temple Sholom, but actually being here as a full-fledged cantor, as opposed to a student, which I was before I got here a year and a half ago. And I would not be the cantor that I am without the help and support of these two amazing humans. I'll start with my professor and our incredible accompanist tonight, Professor Joyce Rosenzweig. Joyce is a force to be reckoned with in the world of synagogue music. Her expertise in Jewish choral music opened my eyes to the breadth and depth of Jewish music, and her passion for musical collaboration showed me the beautiful and exciting ways that we can weave Jewish music into our synagogue services. I had the honor of working with Joyce in our student choir, in classes on harmonization, Yiddish and Ladino art song, as an accompanist for services and other programs. And every opportunity that we had to work together, I was blown away by Joyce's high caliber musicianship, her passion for teaching Jewish music, and her compassion for her students. To work with Joyce is to experience a pure energy and excitement for music that is just irresistible. She can make a 200-year-old piece of chazanut feel as relevant and exciting as if it was written for this particular moment. And as someone with a background in classical singing, I was drawn to Joyce's presence. And I'm just so honored to call her a mentor and a friend. And I knew that I wanted Joyce to be part of my installation so that you could also experience this vision that Joyce has for what synagogue music can be, drawing on this exciting diversity that we have of Jewish and cantorial music. So thank you. Cantor Josh Breitzer. When I began my cantorial journey, I didn't really have a cantorial role model. But from the moment that I began cantorial school at HUC, I knew I'd found a teacher and a mentor in Cantor Breitzer. You are one of the most knowledgeable, energetic, and organized people that I've ever met. Serving, I know, as a cantorial role model for so many other students as well. If I ever have a question about chazanut, Jewish modes, holidays, Jewish traditions, Cantor Breitzer is the one I go to. Not only does he have a wealth of knowledge about the art of being a cantor, but also he's a gifted and passionate teacher dedicated to imparting that knowledge and inspiring a love of chazanut in future generations of cantors. As a B'nai Mitzvah tutor and cantorial intern at Congregation Beth Elohim, CBE in Brooklyn, I got to see Cantor Breitzer's wisdom and musical prowess in action, learning from all the ways that he brings together a myriad of styles and genres of Jewish music. Cantor Breitzer is also a beautiful singer, as you've heard, a sensitive musician, and a compassionate clergy presence both to his congregants and the HUC community. I'm so excited and honored to have him here to be part of my installation and for you all to experience his presence in person. So thank you. Now to close. In this week's Torah portion, tomorrow morning, we read the story of Noach and the flood, after which God promises never to flood the earth on that scale again. God says, Zot ot habrit asher ani noten beini uvenechem uven kol nefesh chaya. This is the sign of the covenant I make between me and you and every living being, creating the first rainbow in the sky. Tonight, we're celebrating a new covenant, one between me and our congregation. I feel so incredibly blessed to get to be the cantor of Temple Sholom and stand up here among inspiring mentors, family, friends, and this dedicated, wonderfully compassionate clergy team. The connections I've made in my year and a half here with congregants have made me feel the strength and incredible passion of the Vancouver Jewish community. You are a group of spirited and diverse Jews who are resilient, proud of your heritage, and dedicated to ensuring the continued vibrancy of Canadian Jewry. Thank you for choosing me as your cantor, and I cannot wait to continue on this journey together. Now we'll continue with Aleinu on page 586.
Please rise. Thank you.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליותר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה,
שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עוונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, אפס מלכנו אפס סולקו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום לשבת אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממנו, והארץ מתחת עינו. The middle of page 590. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמן והיה אדוני למלך
Our thoughts turn to loved ones who are not here with us, but whose presence is felt in this sanctuary. Particularly on this Shabbat of Simcha and celebration, we think of what they would have thought of this moment. Many of whom were here at the beginning and founding of our congregation, and how we have grown, and how we stand upon the shoulders of giants, all of those generations that brought us to this moment. They are giants in our memory as well, all of our loved ones. We stand upon their shoulders and we feel them within our hearts and our memories. On this Shabbat, we recall the blessed memory of those who died during this past week or these past 30 days, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing. Yafa Butterfield, Sheldon Cohn, Rose Godfrey, Harry Goldstein, Charles Groner, Eitan Cohn, Luke Smith. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved ones on this Shabbat, if you too could rise as I read their name. Maurice Oscar Arcus, Moshe Bar Semach, Susan Blumen, Sam Brown, Roy Chernoff, Daniel E. Cohn, Rabbi Abraham Feinberg, Joyce Feinberg, Arthur Flanders, Elfreda Glanz, Richard Gottfried, Marjorie Groberman, Frida Henry, Hinda Kaplan, Matthew Karlinski, Max Levine, Inez Levitz, Betty Litzik, Harry Lipsy, Alec Lipson, Rudy Lowenstein, Lee Light, Rose Mallinger, Gertrude Marks, Benjamin Millman, Thomas Nicholson, Rhonda Nussgard, Erica Pobog Malowanskawa, Charles Polsky, Jerry Rabinowitz, Lee Rootman, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Dorothy Rowan, Ray Rudler, Pina Sagiv, Sophie Sandler Richmond, George Scholes, Judy Seep, Husky Shirkin, Sonia Stabsky, Sylvan Simon, Bernice Simon, Daniel Stein, Alan Tobe, Zachary Van Zant, Edith Weiser, Melvin Wax, Ruth Weinstein, Dela Weisler, Irving Younger, Doris Zwilling. If there's names I've missed or mispronounced, if you could rise and call them out in the midst of our congregation as well. We look around and we see those who have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone. We rise now, turning to page 598 as we join together in Kaddish Yatom, recalling all of those who've died in defense of freedom and justice, victims of terror in this land, the land of Israel, around the world. Those who died in the Shoah that have no family left to remember them, recalling them for blessing as well. Page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah V'yomah divrach Yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh B'chayechon of Yomechon uv'hayeh l'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimaru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei olmaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh V'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit alal Shemei d'kudisha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tush bechata v'nechamata, damiron be'alma v'yimaru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, amen. We're going to conclude our service with Kaddish, Motzi, and then a closing song. We want to ask Cantor Breitzer to lead us in Kiddush. It's right down there. Yeah, we hide it.
Page 123. Yom Hashishi, Vaycholu Hashemayim va'aretz v'chol tzivaham, Vaychad Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa, Vayishbot. Vayom hashvi'i mikom melachto asher asa, Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vaykadesh oto, Ki vo shavat.
מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות צברי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
It's juice.
It's Canadian juice, though. Canadian. And this is a Carl Rothschild challah.
Yeah.
Cantor Cohen, you have to help me with this.
Okay. Challah.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen.
This is the challenge of me at Cantor. You have to eat the challah, and then you got to sing in like 2 seconds later.
As I do that, we're going to close our service with Ein Keloheinu, but it's a very special version of Ein Keloheinu. You'll find it on page 631. It is in both Hebrew and Ladino. You need the stool or no?
What's that?
You need the stool or you good?
No, I don't need a stool.
Okay.
It's Bud's stool.
It's the stool.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, none como vuestro Dios, none como vuestro Señor, none como vuestro Rey, none como vuestro Salvador. Mi Keloheinu, mi Kadonenu, Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Eloheinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in our social hall. A thank you again to our committee for putting on this wonderful oneg you're about to enjoy. Shabbat Shalom.